So with that as a backdrop, Clate, super, super excited to have you. Thanks for coming on today.
Oh, thanks, Chris. It's great to be here with you.
Yeah, you know what I didn't do in the intro, and I'd like to preface it so these guys get to know you other than the short intro is, what years were you, Infusionsoft now Keap, what years was that up until now? When did you start?
Yeah, so we started the business, I guess officially we organized as a business in 2001. I joined as 2002. We say I'm a co-founder because that's the point we really started to create a business out of it. We were custom software for a couple of years, then built our first product, CRM software, and then it became Infusionsoft, and built and ran that for a long time, and then got to a point where we said, you know what, we need to be able to serve a lot more customers, create a lighter, easier version of our software. We did that. We gave it a different name, and then decided, you know what, most customers will start there, so let's name the company Keap. And we name it Keap because of our message to entrepreneurs: keep going, keep serving, keep growing. It's the tenacity and perseverance of small businesses that make them successful.
I love it. We're going to dive into that. And then the other thing I wanted to hear is, so these guys, a lot of solopreneurs listen, right? Presumably.
Yeah.
So yeah. I know some of the backstory, but how many people were the initial group? Wasn't it like 3, 4 of you, like tiny, right?
Yeah. There were three partners that started, and it was really tough those first 3 years. There wasn't enough food to go around for everybody. So.
I remember that. I remember the story. So you went from 0 to, what's the company doing now for volume?
We've got about 400 employees. We're about $100 million company. We've got our customers. We now are getting more. Well, we have most of our customers are still on Infusionsoft, but we're bringing a lot of Keap Pro customers in. That's our number one seller, and has been for a while now. So the Keap Pro numbers are growing, and it's a lot of fun. The whole point of creating Keap was to be able to serve those solopreneurs, those folks that they're not, they don't have enough of a team to go put on the software, and they need something that's easier, lighter, but can help them to automate and grow into our Infusionsoft product, which is the high-end version of our software.
Yeah, I love it. I've seen the growth, and I've experienced you guys since 05 or so myself. So I love it, and a lot of our listeners already have you guys as well.
Awesome.
All right, so let's dive into a little bit of the thriving and chaos with all the stuff going on. We're fortunate in our niche to be absolutely crazy busy in a good way. So, but there's a lot of people sadly not, right? Sure. I wrote down a couple of things, Clay, like 5 or 6 things. But the first one is the Harvard Business Review published like several studies about how companies flourish in post-recession. So believe it or not, I wanted to go back first to 08 because I experienced that. It's in my book. Like, do you remember what you guys did to pivot back then and how you survived that recession in 08, 09?
Yeah. First of all, I love that you're asking that question. So many people are caught up in the chaos of COVID, which is obviously totally real. But the quicker we can get out of that chaos and begin to create, the better the economy is going to be, the better off individual entrepreneurs will be, families, communities, etc. So we can definitely learn lessons from the issues of the past, whether it's 9/11 and the recession, that recession, whether it's 2008 and the Great Recession, the global financial crisis. So I'm glad that you're bringing us back to that, because those lessons are going to help us now if we pay attention. So when I think back to that period of time, the things that we did were we really focused on teaching and educating. I think what happens when economies are revved up, selling becomes very transactional. When economies slow down, the relationship comes back, and the service comes on strong, and the teaching comes on strong. And I think that's a really important lesson for us, because when I look back, what we did, we literally wrote the book Conquer the Chaos because we began teaching and came out of that recession and started to really help small businesses grow. We invented a methodology of life cycle marketing that came out of that, which gave rise to probably most valuable part of our software, which is called the Campaign Builder. That came out of the recession. It came out of the education that we did with life cycle marketing, and then we started to innovate in the software. And it wasn't until 2011 that the software that was actually built in the software but it was the learnings and the education that came from life cycle marketing, which was the 2009, 2010. And so we just learned, we served, we taught, we educated, and that gave rise to new products for us.
That's awesome. So similar to when I'm interviewed, I tell people that I wouldn't have said it in '08, but I was so thankful that all that happened because we re-engineered everything. So similar situation.
Yeah, literally we re-engineered our product coming out of that recession and what we learned from serving and helping. But I think that the thing I share with entrepreneurs all the time is right now, if you're in an industry where it's moving really fast, that's great. Most industries are just getting hammered right now in terms of their marketing and their sales. But the answer is to serve, it's to give, it's to teach. And then the opportunities come out of that. Sales opportunities, marketing, lead generation opportunities, they come out of that. But you have to make sure that your posture is one of serving and teaching. And hopefully that continues well beyond this, the pandemic.
Yeah, we did. I call it doubling down, and we've done that with our tight community too, not just this Wicked Smart Listeners community, but we've done it with the whole community. So I love it. What would you say, Clay, for business owners and real estate investors who, like, they know they're going to think long term? Clearly, we always say that, we tout that, but they're stuck in the now. Any thoughts aside from what you just alluded to?
Yeah, absolutely. We share in the book Conquer the Chaos, we share 3 mindset strategies that are really important for entrepreneurs. And Scott and I have been teaching a 4th one here recently. But the 3 mindset strategies are around building your emotional capital, practicing disciplined optimism, I'll explain that, and exercising entrepreneurial independence. And the emotional capital is very much about, if we, when you think about when you start a business and everybody says you got to make sure you have some savings and some well, you also have to emotionally be in a place that you can handle the crap that's going to come at you as an entrepreneur.
Couldn't agree more.
In crisis, you have to invest emotionally and be prepared emotionally. So what do? Well, you focus on positive, you look at success stories, you see the good around you, you draw that out. You don't mire yourself in all of the negativity of the news and all of the, is it real? You're pretending it's not real? No, it's real. I'll tell you what I do every day. I stay focused on the business, and at night I do a check-in for about 10 minutes to see what happened, stats and the key stories of the day, and that's it. And I leave it alone, and the next day I'm back to staying focused on the business. I don't think entrepreneurs can afford to get caught up in all of the tragedy that is going on right now. Now that might sound callous, it might sound harsh. I don't mean it that way at all. My heart goes out to the suffering. My heart goes out to those who are dealing with things in a very personal way. We all have people, friends, family, close associates that are dealing with this in a very personal way, or a lost job. But that doesn't mean that I need to be mired in it all day. I got to stay out all day, then check in with it so that my heart can be connected to the reality of what's going on. But then I got to get right back on the bike, and I got to be pedaling hard all day the next day. So that's a way that you protect your emotional capital. You invest in your emotional capital. You stay focused and creative. That's the emotional capital part. The disciplined entrepreneur or disciplined optimism is about facing the challenge, acknowledging the challenges that are real. It's not sticking our head in the ground. It's acknowledging the real challenges, choosing to be optimistic despite that, finding every shred of positivity, and then practicing that discipline every day to be able to both acknowledge the brutal facts that you face and use those brutal facts to be better and to be disciplined in your optimism.
I love it. And I should say, you were talking and I was thinking that these people wouldn't know like I know, but it's not like you're by yourself. You've got a big family. How many kids do you have?
That's right. I got 6 kids. My oldest is 25, youngest is 11. And yeah, we got a big family.
And I say that because you say, you've laser focused and but then you have the family to deal with too, obviously. And to support. So I want them to know the other side of that. It's so important. And we're family oriented big time on this end.
Great. Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. I'm very family oriented, and I want to also make sure people are clear when I talk about this discipline optimism. It's not like we've got some I think people might say, oh, well, you probably are insulated from this to a certain extent because you've raised venture capital or because you have hundreds of employees. No, I got a really big payroll with hundreds of employees, and I don't have unlimited supply cash. What do you do when all of a sudden your small business customers are getting hit and cancels are going up and your leads are going down? I mean, I'm talking about this as a practitioner who is, had a very oh crap moment for the first day or two there. It was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
how are we going to deal with this? But we've pushed through it. Sales are doing really well. I'm happy to say our cancels have kind of settled down. They're still up from where they were before, but they've settled down a bit. And I think the faith that I have in entrepreneurs is playing out. And that faith is entrepreneurs adapt. They figure it out. And that's what's happening.
Yeah. So you mentioned cash flow. So you went from 2001 or two, this 18 years ago. There's had to be some trying times with cash flow, not like now maybe, but can you just like shed some light on that a little bit? Because you're not without that either. You've obviously gone through that.
Yeah, you bet. I mean, the first 3 years were a daily fight for survival. It was in those first 3 years, we didn't have a product that was humming along. We didn't have a customer. We were fighting every day for survival. And the truth is, about a year to 18 months in, it was so dark. I was just like, I don't know how we're going to make this. And that was the point where I really started to work on my mindset. I started working on positive thinking. I read The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. And it was a book my dad had recommended to me for years, and I hadn't read it. And I finally read it when I was mired in the depths of entrepreneurial doubt. And I read that book, and it changed me. And I started practicing what that book teaches, and I started to focus on positivity. And things didn't turn around overnight. Shoot, it was another year or so before I really felt like we're going to do this. And then I had to bring my family along who didn't necessarily see what I saw. It took a while for them to see it. And it was about 3 solid years before we started to have success and feel like, okay, we're going to make this thing work. And then we just started building it and growing. But anybody who believes you get to a certain point and then it's all smooth sailing after that is kidding themselves. There's ups and downs all along the way. There are crises, there are issues, there are personal things that happen. There's business partner issues. There's all sorts of stuff. And that's just life, and that's entrepreneurial life. So yeah, we've had our fair share of cash flow problems from the early days to the recent days to everything in between.
Yeah. So no one's immune. That's for sure. So I've been down to Elite, as you know, and even at the beginning when it was tied to Infusionsoft and Keap, and I've been lucky enough to hear you speak almost every single time. And I think I'm clear that you guys have a pretty good 10-year horizon planning, protocol, for lack of a better word. So is any of that adjusting now at all, or is that still the protocol? Is anything tightened up short term?
We have our 2030 mission is to simplify growth for 5 million small businesses worldwide. And nothing has changed about that with the pandemic. Our purpose is to help small businesses succeed, and has been for years. Nothing has changed about that. Our mission is relatively new. Our first mission, our prior mission that we were on, I should say, was to create the leading sales and marketing automation software for small businesses and to have 100,000 customers. So that was that. We finished that. Now we're on to this new mission, but the purpose has remained the same throughout. So the 10-year horizon doesn't change, is the short answer. At any given time, we're in the middle of a 3-year phase of our longer term mission. Right now, we just started. This year is year 2 of a 3-year phase, and so we did adjust our annual goals this year last month in the face of the pandemic. We knew that the churn would be up, sales might be down a little bit, and so we did make an adjustment to that plan. But I'm happy to report we're beating that plan, and sales are roughly on track with the prior plans. So that's pretty encouraging.
That's awesome. Super, obviously over the top proactive as everything you guys do, which is really cool. So my other question was this. I got a couple more for you, and I do appreciate you hanging in there with me.
You bet.
Again, as far as my understanding from knowing you guys, Keap is pretty focused on the small business. Clearly, you said it like 3 or 4 different times. How important is it for because I'm thinking of the real estate investors, and I call it the shiny object syndrome. How important is it for them to be super laser focused, niched, and why not like serve all businesses in your case? Like, can you relate those two?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We are totally focused on small businesses. We specialize in entrepreneurial small businesses. These, entrepreneurs that want to grow. Not every business owner has that drive to learn and grow and get better and get more efficient and automated and have a great lifestyle. I mean, we do that, all of that, because we want our business owners to have, our customers to have a great business and a great life. And automation is the way to do that. So, but not all small businesses see it that way. And we don't, we cater to those who are really entrepreneurial. Now, having said that, the drawback for entrepreneurs is we are very easily distracted. And we do have shiny object syndrome. And so we have to be grounded. We got to stay focused. We got to stay focused on our goals. And the thing that I always say, you have to learn the more successful you are, the more you say no to opportunities. That sounds kind of weird to many entrepreneurs, but it's absolutely. And in fact, I would say you get more successful because you say no to opportunities.
It's interesting.
That, oh, well, when I'm more successful, I'll start saying no to opportunities. No. You get more successful by saying no to opportunities. Now, you have to be really smart and recognize the opportunities that are out there, and you got to say no to certain things. And sometimes you say yes to something that's new, and you say no to, you let it replace something that's old. But when you always add on more and more opportunity, you can only hold so much, and so things start falling and dropping. So you got to stay focused. You got to say no to opportunity to grow. And you got to be wise about the opportunities that are going to create the most impact. So if you're going along and you're handling 5 opportunities and each of those are worth 10 points, and you see a new opportunity that comes along, well, that opportunity better be worth a lot more than 10 points. And you've got to look at it and say, am I willing to drop one of my 10-point opportunities and take on this 20-point opportunity? You might have to take on a 50-point opportunity and drop 3 of your 10-point opportunities. But the idea is you got to think about it, the trade-offs that you're making. And sometimes entrepreneurs just say, yes, yes, more. And it takes one to know one. I got team members who, if they were sitting with me right now, they'd say, yeah, Clay, we can't say yes to as much as you want to say yes to. It's true. So we got to be disciplined in that. We've got to say no to things. And actually by saying no, we grow.
I love it. And I wanted you to talk about that because you didn't get here by not doing that, number one. And number two, I know in real estate, it's super easy to say, I'm going to come over here and do the terms niche with you guys, but I get this rehab house and I get that, and they just get distracted and nothing happens. Right. So true along the way. So as we wrap up, Clate, any advice for the Wicked Smart community, any other advice for the Wicked Smart community as far as dealing with this right now, and or any action items that they could act on, you think, in your opinion?
Yeah. The advice I have is find the problems that your customers have been having. Sometimes they've had these problems for a long time, and they might have even been saying it, but you weren't hearing it. Sometimes they have a new problem because of the pandemic. But find the problems they're having. Now, if you just reach out and you say, hey, how are you doing? Just wanted to check in. They might respond to that if it's in a very personal way. So you can try that. But you might need to say something like, hey, Chris, I've had some conversations with a few of my clients recently who I think might be similar to, I've had conversations with a few of my clients recently, and they've shared some things. We've had some conversations that I realize might be really helpful for you. And then you might say 1 or 2 of the things that you've experienced, that you've uncovered as you've had these conversations. Or if it's your first conversation, you might say 1 or 2 things that you think they might be having.
Yeah. And
the reason you need to do that is because you got to open up the conversation. Everybody's inundated with so many different messages, and they're in hunker down mode, that their natural reaction might just be, hey, Clay, thanks for reaching out. I'm good. Well, then you're not going to have the conversation to discover how you can serve them. So my short advice, my short piece of advice is get out and serve. But the way to do that is you've got to open up that conversation and make sure that you are a welcome guest and a trusted advisor in that conversation. If you've already got trusted advisor status, you can walk right in the door. If you don't, you might need to warm them up a little bit and help them see why your expertise could be valuable to them. And then when you enter that conversation, just go in with a service mindset. Don't go in with a what am I going to sell mindset. Serve them, find out their problems, see what you can do to help them. And then what will happen is you're going to build a relationship that's going to create financial opportunity. But these are the fundamentals of business. This is what the crisis is going to do. It's going to get us back to having good service-oriented relationships. When an economy is very overheated, like we have been, well, let's just say the economy's been hot for many, many years. We were at a historical bull market, right? When that happens, economists say a correction is required. And what's occurring right now is we're getting a correction. Now, unfortunately, it's coming in a very tragic way with this pandemic, but it's a correction nonetheless. And savvy entrepreneurs are going to correct by building relationships, and those relationships will become very fruitful financially over time.
I appreciate it. And as I'm listening to, the coolest thing for me anyway, and I hope the listeners feel the same way, is you just took you got $100 million company and you just took all that advice and boiled it down to the entrepreneur, because that's what you deal with every day. That's how you built your company. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you taking time away from your family, and I appreciate you, with everybody working remotely and doing their thing, being able to get on for us. I know you imparted a lot of nuggets, Clate, with people. I know you gave them some really cool things to work on. So appreciate it again.
Well, thanks, Chris, and hats off to your Wicked Smart community. I love the fact they're investing in themselves and learning and growing and developing and being able to be great service to their clients.
Awesome. Thanks again.
All right. Thanks, Chris.